Stop. Before you spend another nickel, check your pocket now, because some of the coins people ignore every single day could be hiding serious money. Do not spend these coins. What looks like ordinary pocket change could actually be hidden wealth, a silent fortune that collectors are desperately searching for right now. Nobody talks about these forgotten treasures, yet real auction shock keeps stunning the coin world. And the craziest part? Each coin in this countdown gets rarer, scarier, and more valuable. Stay with me until the end, because these coins change everything, and one small detail could mean you're holding a fortune without even knowing it. First up, the coin we're starting with today doesn't scream wealth. It doesn't sparkle. It doesn't look rare. In fact, most people would toss it into a cash register without a second thought. That's exactly what makes the 1991 Jefferson nickel so dangerous to ignore. Somewhere right now, someone is spending one of these coins on a cup of coffee, completely unaware that collectors have paid astonishing amounts for examples that survived in remarkable condition. This is not fiction. This is the kind of hidden treasure that slips through people's fingers every day, and once it's gone, it's usually gone forever. What makes this story even more fascinating is the year itself. In 1991, America was moving through a period of economic uncertainty and global change. The nation was experiencing shifting markets, changing consumer confidence, and major international events that were reshaping the future. While most people were focused on headlines, millions of nickels were pouring out of U.S. mint facilities to satisfy daily commerce. Nobody imagined that decades later, collectors would become obsessed with finding surviving examples from this exact year and mint combination. Yet here we are today, watching demand climb, while quality examples become increasingly difficult to locate. Now look closely at the front of this coin. The obverse features the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson facing left, one of the most recognized designs in American coinage. Around him, you'll find the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," followed by the date 1991. Beneath the date sits the small but extremely important D Mint mark, indicating production at the Denver Mint. That tiny letter is one of the first details serious collectors check. Most people never notice it. Collectors absolutely do. Sometimes the difference between ordinary pocket change and a highly desired collectible begins with a single, tiny letter. Flip the coin over, and you'll find the famous image of Monticello, Jefferson's historic Virginia home. Above the building appears E pluribus unum. Across the center stands the iconic Monticello structure itself. Below are the words Monticello, 5 cents, and United States of America. To the average person, it's just a nickel. To dedicated collectors, every line, every step on the building, every surface mark, and every detail becomes part of a much larger story. Tiny differences can influence desirability, and that is why experts spend countless hours examining coins that most people overlook. The physical specifications add another layer to the mystery. This Jefferson nickel was struck using a composition of 75% copper and 25% nickel. It carries a weight of 5 grams, a diameter of 21.21 millimeters, a thickness of approximately 1.95 millimeters, and a girth or circumference of roughly 66.6 millimeters. Those numbers may sound ordinary, but collectors know that understanding the exact characteristics of a coin is critical. When a genuine piece survives decades of circulation while retaining strong detail, it immediately becomes more interesting to the marketplace. Here's where things become truly surprising. Even though millions of these nickels were produced, surviving examples in appealing original condition are becoming harder to find every year. Think about how nickels are treated. They get dropped on sidewalks, thrown into jars, scratched against other coins, carried through countless transactions, and forgotten in drawers for decades. Most never survive with attractive surfaces. Most become damaged. Most lose the details that collectors desperately want. That is why the survival story matters so much. It's not just about how many were made. It's about how many still exist in desirable condition today. One of the biggest mistakes people make is cleaning old coins. If you remember only one thing from this video, remember this: never clean the coin. Never. A cleaned coin can lose a significant portion of its collector appeal in seconds. That dark appearance, that soft toning, that slightly aged surface many people think looks dirty can actually be part of the coin's value story. Original toning matters. Collectors want authenticity. The moment harsh cleaning removes that history, the damage cannot be undone. This detail changes everything. Many advanced collectors actually prefer a coin that shows honest age rather than one that has been aggressively polished. A naturally toned 1991D Jefferson nickel often tells a story that a shiny, cleaned example simply cannot tell. The soft grays, subtle gold hues, and antique appearance that develop over time create character. These visual traits become part of the emotional connection collectors feel. They aren't just buying metal. They're buying preservation, survival, and history captured in a small piece of American coinage. When these coins appear in serious collector circles, the atmosphere can become surprisingly intense. Auction rooms may look calm from the outside, but competition can be fierce. Bidders study photographs, grading reports, strike quality, luster characteristics, and preservation levels before deciding how much they're willing to pay. Sometimes a coin attracts attention quietly. Other times, multiple collectors chase the same piece because they know opportunities are becoming rarer. The best examples often disappear into long-term collections where they may remain for years without returning to the market. Professional grading is critical for anyone hoping to understand the true potential of a coin like this. A certified grade provides confidence, authenticity, and market credibility. Without professional evaluation, many owners have no idea what they actually possess. Some assume their coin is ordinary. Others overestimate its condition. A respected grading service helps remove uncertainty and allows serious buyers to make informed decisions. Most people miss this step, and that mistake can cost them far more than they realize. As collector demand continues rising, another trend is becoming impossible to ignore. Many experienced collectors are holding rather than selling. They recognize that quality examples are not becoming more common. Every year, more coins are damaged, lost, cleaned, or permanently removed from the collector market. Supply quietly shrinks while interest remains strong. That imbalance is one of the reasons certain coins develop extraordinary reputations over time. Patience often becomes the collector's greatest advantage. Imagine discovering a 1991D Jefferson nickel in an old jar, a forgotten drawer, or a family collection. Imagine learning that what appeared to be an ordinary 5-cent piece could represent hidden wealth. Imagine realizing you've been carrying a silent fortune without knowing it. That's why I keep saying it. Do not spend this coin until you've examined it carefully. Check the mint mark. Study the surfaces. Protect the original toning. Avoid cleaning. And if the coin appears unusually well preserved, consider professional grading before making any decisions. Today, examples connected to strong collector demand have been associated with astonishing market discussions, and the figure often mentioned for exceptional examples is around $110. Whether or not every coin reaches such levels depends heavily on condition, preservation, grading, and market competition. But the possibility alone is enough to make people look twice at every nickel they receive. This is serious money. This is the type of life-changing opportunity that keeps collectors searching year after year. The possibility of hidden treasure is what fuels the obsession. And believe me, what comes next is even bigger. If you think this 1991D Jefferson nickel is shocking, wait until you see the next coin. The next discovery is rarer, more mysterious, harder to find, and far more dangerous to ignore. One tiny detail 30 on that coin has left collectors stunned, and the value attached to it is enough to make anyone check every pocket, drawer, and coin jar in the house. Stay with me, because the next coin changes the game completely. Have you ever looked at an old nickel and immediately assumed it was worthless? That's exactly why thousands of potentially valuable coins continue disappearing into cash registers every single day. The 1970D Jefferson nickel is one of those coins that hides in plain sight. It doesn't look rare. It doesn't look important. It doesn't demand attention. Yet collectors continue searching through boxes, rolls, estate collections, and forgotten jars, hoping to find one with the right appearance and preservation. Do not spend this coin until you know exactly what you're holding, because this seemingly ordinary piece of pocket change has become one of the most fascinating hidden treasures in modern collecting. To understand why this coin matters, you have to travel back to 1970s America was entering a decade filled with economic pressure, inflation concerns, social change, and uncertainty about the future. Families were watching prices climb while the nation adjusted to major cultural and financial shifts. During this period, coins moved heavily through circulation as commerce expanded across the country. The Denver Mint worked relentlessly to produce the coinage needed for daily transactions. Millions of nickels entered circulation, but nobody at the time imagined that decades later, collectors would be hunting for surviving examples from this specific year with near-obsessive determination. What makes this story even more interesting is how deceptive the coin really is. Most rare treasures announce themselves. Gold shines. Silver catches attention. Historic artifacts look old and important. But the 1970D Jefferson nickel blends in with every other nickel in circulation. That invisibility is exactly what makes it dangerous to ignore. People spend them. Banks count them. Cashiers hand them out. Children drop them. Yet somewhere among ordinary examples are coins that have survived decades while preserving details collectors desperately want to see. The first thing serious collectors examine is the obverse or front of the coin. Dominating the design is the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson facing left. Along the left edge appears the famous inscription, "In God We Trust." To the right of Jefferson appears the word "Liberty," followed by a star, and the date, 1970th. Just beside the date sits the tiny D mint mark representing the Denver Mint. Most people overlook that small letter entirely. Collectors do the exact opposite. They often focus on the mint mark before they examine anything else, because that tiny detail immediately becomes part of the coin's identity. Turn the coin over, and the reverse tells another story. Centered proudly is Monticello, Jefferson's beloved Virginia estate. Above the building appears E pluribus unum. Directly beneath the structure sits the word Monticello. Lower still are the words 5 cents and United States of America. At first glance, it appears simple, but advanced collectors can spend astonishing amounts of time studying stair details, architectural sharpness, strike quality, and surface preservation. Tiny differences invisible to ordinary people can completely change how a collector views a coin. The physical characteristics remain important as well. The 1970D Jefferson nickel was struck using a composition of 75% copper and 25% nickel. It carries an official weight of 5.0 grams. The diameter measures 21.21 millimeters. Thickness is approximately 1.95 millimeters. The girth or circumference is roughly 66.6 millimeters. These measurements create the familiar feel Americans have known for generations. Yet when collectors hold a well-preserved example, they aren't simply holding metal. They are holding a surviving piece of American history that escaped decades of damage and neglect. And make no mistake, survival is part of the story. Most Nickels from 1970 lived hard lives. They traveled through vending machines, grocery stores, gas stations, restaurants, and countless hands. They were scratched, dropped, bent, stained, and worn down by decades of use. Many disappeared forever. Others became damaged beyond collector interest. That's why finding a strong, fine-condition example with attractive original surfaces creates excitement. Every surviving coin represents a small miracle of preservation against nearly impossible odds. This is where many people accidentally destroy their opportunity. They discover an older coin and immediately try to make it shiny. That decision can be devastating. Never clean the coin. Cleaning removes originality, damages surfaces, and often destroys the characteristics collectors value most. The market consistently rewards authenticity. Original toning matters. Original texture matters. Original surfaces matter. A naturally aged coin tells a story that no cleaned coin can ever recreate. Once that original appearance disappears, it can never truly be restored. In fact, some of the most desired examples display beautiful natural aging. Soft golden tones, gentle gray shades, deep antique character. These features can develop over decades and create visual appeal that collectors absolutely love. What an inexperienced owner might mistake for dirt or discoloration can actually be part of the coin's attraction. This is not fiction. Some collectors specifically search for coins that have developed attractive, natural toning because it reflects decades of untouched history. Another fascinating factor is minting pressure. During periods of heavy production, coin dies experienced significant wear. As dies aged, tiny details sometimes became weaker. Sharp strikes became harder to achieve consistently. Collectors today often study these characteristics carefully because they reveal how the coin was manufactured. A sharply struck 1970D Jefferson nickel can attract considerable attention because it preserves details many circulating examples lost long ago. Tiny features around Jefferson's hair, lettering sharpness, and Monticello's architectural details become areas of intense examination. Most people miss this detail completely. When experienced collectors evaluate a coin, they don't simply ask whether it is old. They ask whether it is original. They ask whether the strike is strong. They ask whether the surfaces remain untouched. They ask whether the coin has been properly stored. These questions separate ordinary coins from coins that generate genuine excitement. A single overlooked characteristic can completely transform collector interest. Demand for quality Jefferson & Nickels has continued growing among collectors who appreciate the series. Many of these buyers aren't interested in quick profits. They enjoy the challenge of locating exceptional survivors. As a result, the strongest examples often disappear into long-term collections. Once acquired, many are held for years. Some remain hidden for decades. Every coin locked away reduces available supply. And when supply tightens, while collector interest remains strong, competition naturally intensifies. Auction behavior around desirable examples can be surprisingly emotional. Quiet bidding suddenly becomes aggressive. Two determined collectors may pursue the same coin because each recognizes how difficult comparable examples are to locate. The atmosphere becomes tense. Nobody wants to lose. Nobody wants to wait years for another opportunity. This collector psychology plays a major role in why certain coins develop extraordinary reputations over time. If you discover a 1970D Jefferson nickel, the first thing to check is condition. Examine the details carefully under good lighting. Look for original surfaces. Avoid touching the faces unnecessarily. Never polish it. Never scrub it. Never attempt to improve its appearance. Patience creates wealth in coin collecting. Sometimes the smartest action is simply protecting the coin and seeking expert evaluation before making any decisions. Professional grading is critical. An independent grading service can authenticate the coin, evaluate its condition, and provide credibility in the marketplace. Without professional grading, many owners underestimate what they have or make mistakes that permanently reduce value. Serious collectors rely heavily on certified evaluations because they provide confidence and consistency. Skipping this step can be costly. Today, remarkable examples connected to strong collector demand have been associated with auction discussions reaching approximately $140,000 under exceptional circumstances. That's why so many collectors continue searching. That's why old coin jars keep getting opened. That's why forgotten nickels continue attracting attention. Hidden wealth rarely announces itself loudly. Sometimes it arrives disguised as an ordinary 5-cent coin that nearly everyone else ignores. So before you spend another Jefferson nickel, take a second look. Check the date. Look for that D-mint mark. Study the surfaces. Respect the original toning. Protect the coin from damage. Seek professional grading if it appears promising. Because the difference between ordinary change and a silent fortune can be much smaller than most people ever imagine. And here's the part that should make every collector nervous. The next coin in this countdown is even more unbelievable. It's older, harder to find, surrounded by collector obsession, and one tiny detail on that coin has caused experienced buyers to compete fiercely whenever an exceptional example appears. Most people would spend it without a second thought. That mistake could be enormous. Stay with Coin Empire USA, because the next hidden treasure may be the most shocking coin you've seen so far.